Mike A. Race and Andrew Erickson here at the Red Bull Arena. The scene of, you choose the word, Andrew.
What's that?
A beatdown. The crew, the Columbus Crew, after taking a 1-goal lead in the first leg of this 2-leg aggregate goal series, Eastern Conference semifinal against the New York Red Bulls, pretty much got pushed around and lost 3-0 tonight, Sunday night, here in the Red Bull Arena. Andrew, it was pretty clear what the Red Bulls' primary point to their game plan was it not?
It was limit Federico Higuain. They knew that he was the game breaker, the person that got the Crew the lead heading into the second leg, and they wanted to do everything possible to take him out of the game. So, you know, they frustrated their best player, and their second best offensive weapon, Jossi Zardes, played the game with a separated shoulder. He tore several ligaments in practice this week and still was able to play. We actually saw him tying his shoe in the locker room, and that seemed painful in itself. So, you know, with those two weapons not there, you kind of force the rest of the offense to beat you, and that wasn't going to be Pedro Santos and Justin Merritt tonight. So,
you know, the Red Bulls, they're 15-2-1 in this building this year. They had 71 points. That was a record for a regular season Supporters Shield winner. And basically they just reappeared today. That's what it looked like to me. They were just a superior team and played with a lot of confidence at home. Afterwards, there's been a lot of speculation that this would be Greg Berhalter's last season in Columbus, that he was in line to take the U.S. men's national team job. And of course, it was inevitable. He did get the question in his post-game press conference, Andrew, and he was emotional about a lot of things. That wasn't one of them. He actually turned that into talking about his players and not himself.
Right, and that's par for the course when you're talking about Greg Berhalter discussing his team. He said, you know, I don't think we want to talk about that right now, and then kind of talked about it a little bit and said, you know, we made it about the players, and the players were able to get better, and that's what we did here, I think, was how he ended it. And notice the past tense on did. You know, and I think, listen, you can kind of read between the lines that that's a very emotional guy after a tough loss, but you know, he's been talked about as the favorite candidate for the last month plus. He's never denied anything. It's been a no comment, you know, or you know, I'm not going to talk about that specific thing right now, but you know, it was a little bit of a reflective answer for sure.
It seemed like a valediction. I'll have a column about it posted to the web Monday morning at some point. It's finished, but it's not yet posted.
It's late, yeah.
It's not that late. But considering what's been going on with Berhalter, that's even been in the background, given the scope of the whole Save the Crew thing that started 13 months ago to the Save the Crew thing, which cropped up a month ago. In that interim there, the players were caught in the middle of this tug of war between the owner and the league and the city and the fans, and all that. Some of that pressure that they felt or had to push down was sort of released tonight. They could finally talk about, yeah, it hasn't been easy, but more so, they talked about how they were proud of themselves for coming together and playing the way they did over these 13 months.
Yeah, and listen, this team, you know, backdoored its way into the playoffs. It wasn't an easy road. They struggled against some of the top teams on occasion. They struggled to score goals throughout the season. But this team could have just as easily unraveled over the course of the season. They didn't do that. Still made it into the playoffs, won a game few people expected them to win, and made it interesting in the first leg against the Red Bulls. So, you know, Federico Higuain said, we've been here before. We felt we could do better, and I think that's the sentiment you got from the locker room, that this team's been at a higher stage in the playoffs, and they've played an MLS Cup final, and they thought this team was capable of that, so it is a disappointment. But like you said, to weather what they've weathered over the last 13 months, I think is noteworthy.
Well, I mean, props to them. It was a wonderful season in a lot of ways, given everything that was going on. The victory over DC in the knockout round was extraordinary. It was right up there with the Atlanta knockout victory last year. It was a different kind of game, but just as thrilling and remarkable that they beat that team in DC. And You know, and if Berhalter's done a terrific 5 years, 4 playoff appearances, an Eastern Conference title, another loss in an Eastern Conference final. Of course, the Eastern Conference title came with an appearance in the MLS Cup, which was in Columbus, and wasn't that something? So we'll see how things go along here. A lot of changes in the team probably coming.
And that's I think another thing. You know, it's very raw in the locker room after the game, but you know, you have several players and key players who could be gone from this team. You had a midsummer offer for Will Trapp, a midsummer offer for Zach Steffen. I think, you know, that's not the end of that for those two guys. There was a long pause from Zach Steffen when I asked him about, hey, what's next for you and what's the timeline on that? And you know, I think it's you know, something that could happen this January.
This was an end of an era. It really was. It came to an end here tonight, and a new era begins next season. So, for this edition of the video Speakeasy for Andrew Erickson, do you have anything else, Andrew?
I don't know. Should we break
this?
No,
we'll do that in the podcast.
Yeah, we'll do that on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll do that on the podcast. No other breaking news here.
All right.
But stay tuned. Plenty of stuff at dispatch.com. What other platforms do we have? The Facebook page.
Facebook page, the Columbus Crew SC Fans Facebook page. Listen to the Soccer Speakeasy in podcast form. And yeah, just read our stuff on dispatch.com.
Thanks for joining us, and we're out.